Miff, I cannot keep up with Celtic this week. Too much going on. Where do you want to start?
I don't know where to start, and I don't quite know how I feel about anything. It's been a bit bizarre. That game Saturday night, I was like, this is terrible, but it's brilliant, but it's terrible. Listen, the way I look at it is, bizarrely, the games that you sat up there under Nancy, we created umpteen chances, gave away umpteen chances, we created umpteen chances, couldn't score. We're now creating a very small portion of chances, taking them, generally when we get them, a lot more solid defensively, and I think you would take another 14 games of that to take it at a double for the end of the season. So aye, bring it on.
Treble still on?
I will. Take a treble.
Take a treble. Paddy Miff could have started anyway there. He started with Saturday night. There's obviously the boycott, the January transfer window, the Ox, all sorts of stuff. What's top of the pops for you?
I think just showing that there's still a long way to go. I think that's what we kind of seen on Saturday night, that it's going to be a ground out effort if we go and win the league this season. And great to see still kind of knocking about the Scottish Cup. Great to see obviously the progress in Europe. But yeah, it's just some more flags kind of coming up with the team that we started with on Saturday. A lot of those players are the guys that we might have to kind of rely on at later points in this season, because there's no doubt I think there'll be injuries, there'll be difficult moments this season still to come. So it's still very much up in the air for me, Tino.
Yeah, James, you and I done the live post-match on Patreon on Saturday night. But were you like me doing that thing with 5:10 to go? Listen, the Scottish Cup doesn't really matter. That's a distraction we could do without.
I'd carried myself on, that was the case, and then that goal went in and I nearly blew the roof off. So a liar to myself. The topic I'd like to start with is David Dickinson is out of control.
He's gone rogue.
He's out of control. I think Colm's got a wider mutiny on his hands since they bagged Alan Muir, but it's like, don't care, I'm doing it anyway. The commentary kept saying Dallas was VAR on Saturday, and to be fair, I think Dallas has been an excellent VAR operator, genuinely. So when they said it was Dallas had dismissed that, I was like, I mean, it seems like him of old, but doesn't seem like him of recent. And then it turns out it's Dickinson. You go, well, that makes complete sense, doesn't it?
And in context, did you see, comparative to the trusty red card Salads incident with Gahey?
Yeah.
Much closer to the goal, and deemed by the English Premier League refs not to be a goal scoring opportunity. Trustees is another 30 yards up the park or 20 yards up the park, and that was deemed to be.
And you've got Tavernier's moment during the week.
Wild.
Examples even closer to home.
Yeah. And who's the ref? Your pal
David Dickinson.
Double D.
Yeah.
What? Remind me about Alan Muir then. When did he go and what was the scenario around?
It was after Hibs or something like that. Like, who'd scored and the ball was over the line, and he said no, it was near.
The fan footage was there.
It was like it was given as a goal, and he overturned it without having a view to overturn it. So it's a factual, not a factual overturn, it's a factual sacking. He was going for that.
And we're not going to labour on refs too long here, but you thought that, or you think that Willie Collum's got some issues to deal with, whether it's John Beaton or David Dickinson now? Do you think there's something might move? You think it might be a...
Well, you can't sack us all. You haven't got the personnel. I would just bring up younger referees and get them out.
What about Ryan Lee? Would you promote him?
Yeah, he's for the watching. For the watching, man. He's been on my list for a wee while.
From the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, as mentioned, there's a whole lot of stuff, a whole lot of things to cover, but let's start with the transfer window. So we're now a week down the line. We finished recording 7:30 last week. The window slammed shut at 11 o'clock. And let's recap. We all know, generally speaking, but let's recap. So 5 incomings initially: Julian Araujo, Thomas Chanchara, Junior Adamu, Joel Mvuka, Benjamin Arthur, and then latterly the Ox arrives in a post-transfer window move. Going out the way, Hayato Inamura, Shin Yamada, Jamai Simpson-Pusey and Johnny Kenny, all kind of loan moves. Paddy, obviously we couldn't do it until now, but how do you now assess Celtic's transfer business?
It's still very early. I listen, Oxlade Chamberlain, good signing if he can hit the ground running, and I think we all hope that he does. A shame that we never felt to try and get the deal over the line in order to potentially bring him into the Europa League squad.
And just on that, UEFA, have you seen it? They've tweeted today
Billy,
as if he's part of all that, like coming soon, and it's the Ox and his Celtic strip on the Europa League account. Unless there's a technicality that he's in on, but is that just a mistake?
I think it's just been a mistake. I see, obviously, Mvuka's been not brought into it as well.
Too late to take him out.
No, he's not. He's not even in it. He's not even in it.
He's not made it.
No.
Oh, of course,
No.
it's Junior Adamu.
Yeah.
that's made it.
Adamu and
Fanchara
Arojo.
and Arojo.
Yeah, so no, listen, I think it's very early to tell for the new guys, and obviously brilliant to see Adamu get his goal on Saturday. Great finish, lovely finish.
Yeah.
And as I say, I'm not judging Mvuka at that point just now, but it wasn't a brilliant debut, was it?
Just in terms of the finish,
It drove me to drink.
it doesn't take a lot.
No, Liam Scales drove me to drink.
Just in terms of Junior's finish, though, even watching it back now, I still get nervous that Arujo's going to take a touch.
Aye.
It's still going to get chopped off. He's so close to touching it, and that would have been offside. But yeah, let's talk briefly about Mvuka, because it's maybe symptomatic of where we're all at as modern day fans. It's not just Celtic fans, but
We want instant
there's been
gratification.
He's had 45 minutes, a fairly sketchy 45 minutes. You could take confidence with the fact that he must have done something in training to get the start. O'Neill and stuff must have seen something.
You're dropping Maida and rest of them as well.
That's what I was thinking. They took a lot of players out for Saturday, and very risky, to be honest.
in
But
hindsight,
then, is it maybe a sign that all eggs are in the basket of the league?
Maybe.
I think, if I'm being honest, he got progressively worse, but the start wasn't without promise. He tried to take
10,
tried to
15.
take his man on a few times. I think he then took a couple of really suspect touches, and I think his confidence maybe just got affected by that.
Yeah.
And and let's be honest, the way the atmosphere would normally be at Celtic Park on a Saturday night, Simon Murray Saturdays. If there was a full house, it would be excellent, and it would be a place that would encourage him on. The atmosphere and attitude of Saturday night was very, very different. I'd say it was more of a negative tone. There were outbursts, certainly in different clusters, trying to create an atmosphere. But when you consider all of those things, I don't necessarily think it was the best environment to get new players to come on and give their best. That's just my opinion on that. There were elements, very small elements, that I thought were decent, but I really thought I think he got into the realms of trying too hard. So yeah, work there to be done, but ultimately we know now that there are other players that can come back in those positions. If you've got Maeda or whoever.
We're going to get into the boycott stuff and the bigger picture stuff just in the second part of the show, so we'll park that for now. But Paddy, it is a strange environment. So Junior scores a goal with effectively his first touch as a Celtic player, and you would expect the roof to blow off the place, and it's not quite been the intro to Celtic life that you'd hope for any new guy.
No, it's not. But listen, there's obviously valid reason behind that, and each to their own in terms of following or not following the boycott. I think that it's something that it still has to continue to have this momentum, the push against it. So I think you've got a coaching team there that are going to explain to these guys, hey, here's the situation with the club at the moment, here's what we're dealing with, and here's what we're trying to do and trying to build on. A team probably desperately in need of a rest. When you think about how busy it's been this season for us, and actually we've looked quite lacklustre and looked as if we've been grown tired in the last half hour of a lot of games, and I'm even going back to that happening from October. So a welcome rest, obviously, with the postponement of the Aberdeen game, and then obviously being able to rest the likes of Schmeichel. I know it was obviously potential knock to his shoulder, but Engels, Maeda, all getting a bit of time away is not a bad thing. So I get why he's reshuffled the pack, and a very difficult game to do it because Dundee have came up against us a few times this season and looked pretty organised. So no, it's a difficult one, but it's still your debut. It's still an opportunity to go and try and make your mark from the very get-go. And I think Amadou will take so much from it.
Yeah.
And Vuka, I wonder if he's maybe just come in to bolster our options in that position, and maybe we're not expecting him to be the main starter. Maybe it is going to be Yang for the remainder of the season, and this guy's there to support it. Time will tell. They are going to get utilised. We are going to need them because we can't also be asking for James Forrest to give us an hour plus.
No.
We just can't expect that at all.
I wonder if Mvuka and Junior were having a blather after the game going, who the fuck are the Kellys and the Whites? What's all this nonsense that they're talking about?
Alex Oxlade Chamberlain came down and explained it all. Listen, guys,
lads, it all started
I'll
back
tell
then.
you.
Go hardcore me and I'll do it.
Yeah.
My pal.
But they'll be brought up to speed. They don't live in a complete bubble, these guys. They'll be made aware of what's going on at this moment in time. Miff, just generally speaking, the headline or the main headline from the window was no money spent on fees. So the 5 and then Oxlade Chamberlain being the 6. No outlay or no initial outlay for any of these guys. Does that matter as long as they do a job? Did the optics of it matter more than we think or not at all? What's your take?
So my take is are the board operating out of spite? Because we're asking for change, we're asking for money to be spent. Are they not doing so to spite the fans?
I don't think they've got the call. They can't make that call. Dermot Desmond may be acting out of spite.
Aye,
I don't
well,
think
that's
it's the
what I
same
mean, though. But it's the same thing.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
ultimately, you know, he's making the decisions. Or if you look at it in a different way, I'd seen that David Lord posted, I think we're at a record high in the share price.
Right.
Are certainly close to it. Are we being packaged up for a sale? That's kind of what's always been in the back of my head. I know that the rhetoric from the Desmonds has been no chance and all that type of thing, but ultimately, I have a suspicion or I suspect that a sale or talks of a sale must be going on in the background. That's
She watch for the spite sale then, like Man U.
well, this is what we're open to, though.
We'll just
Yeah,
this
This is what we're open to. This is what we're open to. So, that is, I feel that may, it could be just utter rank incompetence, and also the situation with Tisdale having an impact. I think all options are open.
Yeah.
I mean, they did
But,
try and spend money, just didn't succeed in
But
spending money.
this is what I mean. I don't know. I don't know. My suspicion is, rather than it being complete and utter rank incompetence, that there might be something bigger going on in the background. But that's just my own personal gut feeling.
It's always possible, and I suppose only time will tell, you know, with regards to that. What about Martin O'Neill's take, James? He said the words that he's happy, and you'll generally take Martin O'Neill at face value. Do you feel he's happy with the business done? Keeping in mind that he and Sean Maloney took such a hands-on role with it.
Yeah, I think it's the timing, the short window they had to get a list and a criteria together as to what they're going after, and then go after those players. And you'll be successful or unsuccessful with luck or a lack of luck with that. So I think the fact that he got players in positions that he needed cover for, he'd be satisfied if not happy. You know, that's the bare minimum I'd have accepted. I got the cover, fair enough.
What was his line to Chris Sutton? He said football management and dissatisfaction go hand in hand.
Yeah.
You're never satisfied as a manager. You get 6 players, you want 7. You score 3 goals, you want 4. That's part of the world.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, my taking, you know, on the spending money or not spending money early in the transfer window, as soon as Nancy was going, it's like, it doesn't matter. Bums on seats, it's cover. It's look at Svanchara. Do you care if we bought him or loaned him as long as he's scoring goals for us? Not at all. Araujo, the same. You know, all these guys, as long as they can do a job between now and the title, I'm happy.
I get that, but the scary thing with that for me is that it's come back to this whole thing of no forward planning. You know,
There's a whole summer of work to be done.
Exactly, but you want that work to be starting now, and you would expect that at any business that's what's happening, but I don't think not ours.
And I think as much as we all suspected there was no forward planning anyway, as soon as Nancy and Tisdale go, you're right back to reset mode, and it's, as you say, get the bodies in however which way you can between now and the end of the window.
Agreed. I find it hard to believe that every single potential player that we were going to go in for was ripped up. I really find that hard to believe. In terms of what the scouting department had done, yes, all right, they would have been given the memo from Tisdale and what we're looking for and what we want to try and implement. You try to tell me they've not been looking at other players in the meantime. And I find
Formation's part of it though. You know.
No, absolutely. But for what like, listen, Martin O'Neill, I don't think he's a 4-3-3 manager, but he's playing to the strengths of the squad. So that's been the strength of the squad for how many years now? Probably the best part of 10. That's been the formation, there or thereabouts. Yeah. So trying to say like our network of what we've been looking at over that time has changed completely, or we're out of reach of that. Because for me, again, you kind of look at the press conference from O'Neill last week when he's speaking about the player from Frosinone in Italy. Yep, that's one on the radar. It falls dead.
Gejemis, I think his name.
Yeah, we're not even trying to, like, I don't even know if he would be a first target of players that we're looking at.
6.5 billion it probably was.
But we're struggling to kind of still conclude these deals. That's the big concern.
And that ties or leans into towards your, incompetence statement. You know, we're trying to get those deals done. He clearly was a top priority for Martin O'Neill, but we just can't get them over the line. We want to spend money as a club. We just can't. We can't even do it.
Sounded the player out. In the end, he didn't want to come.
That's madness, isn't it? So they're sitting at the top of Serie B. They look like they're going, up to the top level. So he said he wants to be part of that. It's a quick phone call 3 weeks ago, finds that out, and you go, that's cool. We won't even ask the question. We'll move on. It just seems strange.
It goes back to what we were saying in terms of what's the view of Celtic in that kind of negotiation setup. Is it respected? It's not at this current time. It's really not. in my opinion.
The kind of surprising thing in all of this, though, is if you look at Araujo and
Nice.
Trinchara, then they appear to be, ticking the box as pass marks through all this madness and the shite that we've threw at the wall. You've ended up with a couple of guys who've come in and strengthened the squad. Now, I think Araujo's straight loan.
Yeah.
Trinchara's option to buy 7 million declared back. And I think you mentioned it a few weeks ago, James, that by doing what we've done with protests and boycotts and all that, and Desmond hammering in, you might actually end up everybody getting what they wanted further down the line. And I think the same can be said for this sort of window, is that you actually might end up with a few gems just by the complete look of how we've had to acquire these players and coming almost drumming up a short-term criteria of made a big move, failed, showed excellent promise and can get him on loan. Just go and hammer that.
Talk about that.
Just go and hammer that.
It does seem that might have been quite a clear criteria. Almost every one of those players, maybe with the exception of the centre-half, Benjamin Arthur, they've all hit the ground running early part of their career, got a big move, big move's not worked out, and then we've swooped in.
Yeah.
And I suppose that tells you that, so we can't have guys who want to come on loan just to fill the time and just to see themselves out to May and we'll see what's next. You need guys that are driven. There's some World Cup things going on there. Mvuka's got designs on the Norwegian squad, Trinchara, Czech Republic, and Junior has been part of the Austrian squad. So you've got driven guys there, and as you say, Miff, it might be far more by luck than design, but it might just be the luck that gets us over the line.
Well, it's something.
Yeah.
It's something. So if that's what Anil, Maloney, whoever have focused on and the recruitment team have focused on, then to get 4 in the door and then somebody, I think the Oxlade Chamberlain signing is more a bolstering of the senior members of the squad, because McGregor's pretty much doing that on his own.
Yeah.
I think that's a training standards, come in, shows how it's done type of thing. I think he'll still contribute.
He's play a lot of football.
I think he'll still contribute. But what I mean is, he is a very experienced and he's won a lot. He's coming in at the tail end of the season, last 5 months, whatever it is, to come in and show the younger players, the new players that have come in, these are the standards that are expected at a big club. This is how you train, this is how you prepare. Almost like somebody to lean on as well within the squad. Yeah. Because McGregor has pretty much been doing that on his own. When Joe Hart was there, Joe Hart was doing it. I know, but with Jamesy,
not on the pitch.
This is the problem with Jamesy is now, the problem with James is now you can see that there's a decline there. As much as it pains me to say that, Casper would be somebody else as well. But other than that, it's guys that have maybe not really been round the block enough and won enough. I know Scales has been in the squad, Trusty's been in the squad, but somebody like Oxlade Chamberlain, who was an excellent player at his peak. Yes, the years may be catching up with him, but if he's kept himself fit and he's got a bit to offer, I think it could turn out to be an excellent addition.
Here's hoping fitness isn't an issue.
Yeah, I mean, you can see why there's several reasons for making the signing. His contribution on the park primarily, right? What he might bring to the party, skillful player, technically very gifted player, and as long as he can stay fit. But the experience, the leadership and the winning mentality, and he spoke about that in his own interview, this is where I want to be. He'd got all the chat from Joe Hart and Andy Robertson and others. So he wants to be here, Paddy. What are you expecting from him? So as Miff says, he's 35 England caps, 7 goals amongst that. Was he a sub not used in the Champions League final?
He was. That was the only squad he was part of.
Right.
He was injured for the full.
Okay.
The full.
But also there's reasons why they brought him into that squad.
Yeah,
Then
absolutely.
Somebody, Klopp must have seen the fact that he wanted him as part of that. He's got 3 FA Cup medals. He's got a Premier League medal as well. So the guy's got a lot to offer. And at 32,
he's still
physically he looks in good shape. He's not carrying weight. He's a powerful guy.
Yeah.
What do you think? What are you hoping for?
I think it's a very good signing. I really do, and I think
low risk, relatively low risk.
Absolutely, and listen, if it works well for him here to the point that we extend the deal. Apparently, that was from his end as well.
Yeah,
he was to offer only the 6 months, and he's come back and said, "Well, what if I hit the ground running? What if it goes well?" He wants to be thought about, and actually, that's where if we do have a good run in for the end of the season, Maloney's kept on. Dare I say, Martin Hill's kept on. You want to be able to still say to these guys, let's extend that, keep these players, keep that good feeling.
And just on that, in terms of his style of play, obviously he's played off the wing early in his career and then he progressed more to a midfield role. You would have someone, and I think we've been crying out for it. Rio used to do it in his earlier days and Rodgers kind of almost coached it out of him. a ball carrying midfielder, someone who'll drive, see that 20 yards that we have, that often Scales and Trusty get left to drive into. He is a player who will carry that and happily dribble with the ball.
I think I totally agree. I think if you're Arne Engels, you're watching this guy.
Yes.
This is where I think he's going to be the making Engels.
That's another massive potential uptick. Some of the goals on his showreel are incredible. Some of his goals from range are brilliant. So hopefully that's...
And there's also wee Perry as well.
Perry, Mrs. Oxlade.
Perry Como.
We can't forget.
So we need to see, we'll touch on it later in the piece, but he might well get minutes against Livy on Wednesday. That would be great to see. All the talk, of course, was about incomings, but the big potential outgoing was going to be Arne Engels. We were talking about the bids that had come in. Leipzig showed interest kind of halfway through the window. Then Forest came in with 14 million, very quickly 17.3 million, and finally 20 million plus 5 million of add-ons. And the club held strong on that, and I think they deserve credit for doing so. No?
They've messed up the model.
No, I know.
The model is take that because you've got cover for them.
I know, but we've just spoken about the short term.
In the moment.
They could not
in the moment, aye.
Right.
Well, the reason they were in the moment is because they hadn't made any planning to cover Engels and sign a £5-6 million guy. So they don't really deserve credit, but...
I think they were scrambling to try and get Miller back through Udinese, and it wasn't too short term.
Just too late.
If the model was right, you let Arne Engels go for 25 million.
Of course you do.
Reluctantly, but it's the most...
And that's what we can agree on. But as I just said, when Tisdale and Nancy go, everything's up in the air. So they had to hold on to that.
But also, have we as a supporter group not been gaslighted into believing us not selling our players or better players is a bad thing?
No, but listen, I think any performing club though, Miff, looks at that, looks at the return that we've got from Engels, and it's been good at points, absolutely. But what we're also seeing, right, 11 million we've put out on him, our highest. What's the return been? What are we going to get for him? It's a middle point of his Celtic career. I actually think it would have made sense for all parties.
No, would you have taken that offer?
I would have taken it. I would have taken it.
Without cover.
No, what I'm saying is if the deal was right, it isn't right. We don't have the cover there. My thinking on it is that if you are operating at the right level, you can see and you would know about the noise about someone wanting to come in for Engels early doors.
The Leipzig noise came in early. That's
absolutely.
They did no preparation.
This is what I'm talking about.
My
do
take
not
on
operate
it,
as a serious club.
My take on it is that he lacks physicality. That's my biggest bugbear with him.
Physically, doesn't deploy his physicality.
He needs to
learn more time in the ball.
He needs to learn that side of the game. In my opinion, that's the bit he needs to develop. His vision is outstanding. I would like to see him do more. I think he's so good that I'd like to, much like Hatate. I think they just need to do more. But
I think Hatate's
with
done.
no, with I know he is now. But with no planning and knowing that you're not going to get better, if not equivalent, in the door. You can't sell him.
Yeah.
We haven't sold him, and you don't win the league without him.
I've seen some bizarre takes from some Celtic fans who said that Forest thing never happened. The club have just made that up.
Oh, where you go?
And I understand there's a lot of pile-on for good reason to the club at this moment in time. That cannot be something that we entertain. And obviously there's people on the other side of the city saying it was a myth. You know, if Engels is worth a myth.
All right.
If Engels is worth 25, what's Raskin worth? Well, nobody's offering Raskin 25.
The same as Morelos and the same as...
You're only worth what somebody's willing to pay for you. And by all accounts, Forest were willing to pay.
Because I'm buying bar Amish, but it is no pool.
What the fuck is that?
Great episode.
We Amish.
So, we keep Arne Engels, and Martin O'Neill, you know, obviously would be far happier having that option. You know, you could have gone down we'll sell Engels, we get Josh Mulligan in, or we get Lennon Miller in, and it might work, it might not.
Josh Mulligan's flavour of the weekend. Everybody's talking about him.
But just that's what I'm saying, for talking sake. So would you have been happier losing Engels and getting those guys in?
I can't say I've seen enough of Mulligan. I'd be wanting.
I think they've been quick out and just done sign someone. We're going to lose Engels, and it's been Oxlade Chamberlain, and then they're like, but he's not going now. So we'll still give you the money, but
and you know, I feel horrendous here, man. I'm going on about Forest, and I'm going to go on about Bernardo as well. Based in what we're seeing, I mean, Paulo Bernardo. Oh, jeez,
people have checked out. I think it's a completely different environment to what they've been used to. I think about Hatate. I just think he's like, this isn't the Celtic I signed for anymore. I should have left here a year and a half.
It's my final question on this section. Is there anyone else whose time is up at Celtic? Let me list who I think. Hatate, it looks done. Bernardo, it looks done. James Forrest, he will have a part to play, but not as much as he has been playing. I don't know where I'm at with Luke McCowan, who set up the winner on Saturday. Very mixed performance. Anyone else that I've not mentioned?
Dougie Ross stole me scorner.
Oh, that was insane.
Oh,
what are you doing? And then the one that was supposedly had went out.
McCowan's lacked him.
The one that went out for a corner, for a goal kick.
Yeah.
And it wasn't.
Insane.
Aye.
Absolutely insane.
So saying to my dad today, we're still dealing with stuff like it's the 80s. You know what I mean?
Schmeichel's on that list.
I think that's
So
maybe.
you know, a lot of
Oh, sorry, I thought
Just talking about
empty
players.
list there.
a lot of folk have spoken about Schmeichel and this ongoing shoulder issue. Martin O'Neill confirms it's an issue. He's getting injections to play on through it. He's clearly, it's hampered him. I look at that third goal that Rangers scored against us and the one in Europe that Utrecht scored.
That's mental.
Yeah, struggling there. So yeah, we've got a goalie issue between the two of them. You've got after other players. Johnny Kenny, he exits, he goes out to Bolton, for example.
I know
it needs a whole refresh, doesn't it?
I know a lot of people still don't agree with me on this, but the two starting centre halves are still not good enough.
100%.
Still not good enough.
I
They're getting bullied about, and they are so slow.
I think we need 4 if you want to be ambitious.
Easy.
So I went to the game. I'm happy to declare that I went to the game.
Sorry.
I was going to out you anyway.
Had bought the tickets before the boycott was announced. But anyway, they had my money anyway, so I went. And the anger in me when Scales turned his back on a player advancing the goal, I can't quite describe.
Aye.
For the goal?
For the goal. He switches. It's just
It was just a bad decision making.
it's so poor, and there's been so many of those individual errors between both Trusty and Scales this season that the body of evidence would suggest neither of those players are of the calibre to play for Celtic. It's just that simple.
You do wonder, and I know we're only seeing small sample size and it's an easy and lazy thing to say when it's against you, but the fella Hamilton that scored the goal and the fella that kicked KT in the head, they both had really good games on the right hand side coming in on their left, didn't they?
Congreve had a very good game against Hearts the other week as well. There was a lot of chat about him after that too, but listen, I don't think we turn our nose up at anyone else in the Scottish League. I don't think we can do that anymore.
And as much as I love that mad ginger psycho, I haven't seen it back, but his tackle on Tierney was with such velocity. I don't care how high it was.
It's not even the height.
It's out of control.
It was so late. He's off the ground. It's got to be a red card.
But it's cool because he high-fived him afterwards. It's all right.
Yeah, but he's a good lad.
Listen, that's all the chat for now in the January window.
Girls don't like boys. Girls like Simon Murray.
That's the Dundee Exchange.
Sorry.
Yeah. All the January transfer window gone for now, but the good thing is we can revisit it all in a few months' time in the summer.
That'll be a cans episode. That'll be a cans episode.
If you're not already part of our community on Patreon, then you're absolutely missing out, aren't they, Miff?
Oh, 100%.
On the Patreon, we provide additional pre- and post-match episodes for every game, including Livy and Kilmarnock coming up this week. Bonus special episodes with a range of guests, the latest of which was the brilliant comedian Susie McCabe, who we recorded with last week. Susie's also a member on the Patreon as it happens. Plus, we provide a daily podcast every weekday morning. And finally, if you don't want to hear from us, you can enjoy debating with our brilliant community of Celtic fans who chat Celtic 24/7 in our exclusive chat community.
Can I just ask, was she sitting in my seat?
She was sitting in the Miff
Was
seat.
she, aye?
That's what brought out all the good
Think you're
stuff.
funny. There's only room for one wee funny person in this podcast, Susie.
He's jealous.
You don't matter. Just a wee bit. Just a wee bit.
Shots fired. Shots fired. Anyway, you can be part of all of what we're doing on Patreon for slightly more than the price of an overpriced coffee at just £5 a month. If you're not already part of what we're doing, check it all out. Patreon.com/Celtic Exchange.
A shout out on that one. It's been someone that's been itching for a shout out for weeks apparently. This one's for Stevie's sister Megan. It loved the Susie McCabe show, so worth a great listen as well.
Yeah, a lot of really good feedback on Susie's episode,
And
so you'll get that right now on the Patreon. Okay, the boycott. We touched on it briefly at the start, but following a meeting of the Celtic fans,
Miff has left the building.
So, following a meeting of the Celtic Fans Collective on Tuesday night last week, a boycott was called for the Scottish Cup game against Dundee on Saturday night. It's the first boycott of any sort. You walked in the last one as well?
I did.
Yeah, I did die. I did die.
You've
The ultimate scab. The ultimate scab.
We would still be Kelly's.
I know. I've not just broke one boycott, I broke two. God.
It's the first boycott.
What do you like?
First boycott of any sort since the Celtics for Change inspired one in February 1994. Good game, Miff. Which many say eventually led to the downfall of the old board. Paddy, what's your take on it all? It's obviously been a really noisy space Celtic-wise since that was announced. So the meeting was on Tuesday. It was confirmed on Wednesday morning by the collective. It's been a hell of a few days since then. How do you feel about it all?
I think it's ticking over the way it has to tick over just now. It's not comfortable. It's not easy. You don't want to see Celtic Park sitting like that. I'm hearing a lot of people saying about back the team, be there for the players. I completely understand that, and this is a season where the need is more than anything. However, this cannot go on, and there's one source, there's one root cause. So it cannot go on. We can't always just sit in the seats when we're happy that we're winning. Even the seasons that we've been winning stuff, mistakes have been happening at the top level. So it needs to be called out. And I'm actually glad to see that the momentum's still there. I respect anyone that still goes to the game completely. I would never take that away from anyone. And that's your decision to make. This is my decision as well as others that have boycotted these games. And there's no way that it can be Celtic fan v Celtic fan.
Yeah.
It has to be looking at the root cause, and that's the board.
Yeah. James, couple of questions. Your general take, was calling it in general a good shout? Was it too early, too divisive, or is it something that may well lead to positive change at the club?
I think it's a good thing to show the board what it's like if we're not there, and show them what your power is. And that is the power of the Celtic fans, is to be there, be present, support the team. You know, you said yourself, Matthew, it was in pockets and people trying to get wee outbursts, and that's great and good on them doing that. But it's all of us together. My overall take on it is that timing is really important, and I think collective and whatever else has missed its window to change this now. We need us all back in the stadium by the next home game. By the next home game, they have us all pushing together, and this gets revisited in the summer. I would suggest something like a reprieve. We put it on ice. We revisit this 21st of May, as soon as the season's over. And if Celtic haven't put a cohesive plan together to restructure Celtic by the time that the season ticket renewals go out, the collective should suggest, not threaten, suggest that they may be looking for fans to not renew, a campaign to not renew. So you can put some parameters in place, but put everything on ice until the summer, get back in the stadium. It's the most important thing.
So, sorry, before I come to you then, Paddy, you think maybe a potential, almost like a trial situation? Get the Green Brigade
Get everyone back.
Get fan media maybe back, all that kind of stuff. And I suppose back with conditions. So, yep, we'll open maybe Wednesday at Livy's too soon, but, big home games coming up. So, yep, such and such a home game. Everyone back in it, everything, all fair and love and war and stuff, but you need to meet certain conditions, whether it's behaviours or whatever it might be. You think that's something that might work as a short-term solution before a bigger solution in summer?
We're only looking at, 6 or 7 home games between now and the end of the season, maybe 8, I think. But no concessions, no one saying, yeah, we're giving up that or we're giving up this. Just put it on ice.
An amnesty.
In the summer. An amnesty. A temporary amnesty.
Paddy?
I would love that to be the case. I think that would really be the ideal scenario if everyone was to follow that, but not everyone's going to follow that. Because if you look at the way that it's built up from the collective being formed, October, not long after the
September the 10th was the first meeting, I think. Right.
And then you look at obviously the statements for Brendan Rodgers leaving, then the statement coming from Dermot Desmond, the trying to figure out what the next move was going to be, the arrival of Martin O'Neill coming back in, the run of victories that O'Neill brought. There has been a bit of momentum that's carried. We spoke about it on this show, a new manager coming in, new manager bounce, he hits the ground running, we get the players in January, we go on a run. It's not happened. One of the things that we spoke about, and I remember, and I totally agree with where you're coming from, is that if we were to go on a win and run, this would blow it all away and it would calm down. This can't calm down. This needs to continue at this momentum. I'm not agreeing with every single way that we're looking at it. I think it needs to be a broader picture. And I think some of the demands, we really need to think about getting round the table and thinking about a long-term plan. Someone's not going to lose their job overnight. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. Someone's not going to get the fans back in if we are demanding such high things like that as well. I think it just needs to be a discussion of let's go to the end of the season, absolutely. But this does not go away. And I think when you look at the crowd at the game last week at Celtic Park, and you actually could see, you could feel that for me the first time. We're winning the game and the whole stadium is collectively still sticking that this is not good at the moment. We're not happy.
So you don't mean the Dundee game, you mean the Falkirk game?
The Falkirk game.
Stand up.
That was the first time I thought, right, they've got enough people, they've built momentum. They can't let that drop. They can't, and I understand it's such a...
What do you want? Do you want to win the league or do you want to be right?
Listen, if I want the club to be run right, and if it means if there is a detriment at that point,
would you take losing the league to get that structure?
What I'm saying is, if there's a detriment, we need to still think about who do we hold accountable for that.
We would be accountable. If we don't back this team all the way to tail, we would be part of the accountability.
But we've been backing the team for years, and the mismanagement has led us to this point. I don't
disagree at all in terms of you're spot on correct in terms of what needs to be done. It's when it's done. That's what I'm saying.
If we drop this though and go to a trial period at the end of the stadium, the momentum they've got up to this point fades. It fades.
Do you not feel you both? So obviously you're coming at it from different sides, which is all good. Do you not feel there is a solution? I'll come to you, Miff, as the voice of reason. Do you not feel there is a solution where everyone can get their win? So the amnesty potentially it gets so the big shout from the Green Brigade and the collective who have been speaking on their behalf at times is, can we get the Green Brigade in the stadium to maximise our chances of supporting this team from now till May time? So can we find a solution that would allow that to happen, but whilst not allowing the anger to completely disappear and then come May time we'll just forget about it? Keep that on the back burner, but keep it very much burning away in the back burner with a genuine target of, the season will finish in May, and in early June there will be another meeting and we will really start to address those bigger issues. Because Brian Wilson, listen, some folk think he's bullshitting or not, but I quite liked his piece. It was only a short piece. It was another Celtic TV puff piece, if you like. But he did speak with a bit of contrition about, let's get around the table. Told an interesting wee story about 4 lads that met up the town, and I don't know how to
be in the word.
I know, we just bumped into him, didn't we?
Well
done, Tino. Well done. Cheers.
They're the bag of cans.
But it seems that there's willingness. If you're taking them at face value, it seems that Brian Wilson and others are willing to find solutions. So do you feel there's potential for everybody to win here?
I think there's such a feeling of distrust. Firstly, you're coming to me and I'm the shite bag that went to the game, but there's such a feeling of distrust from both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And even though the kind of Brian Wilson piece hinted at some contrition, I think the feeling from the fans is that what is being said isn't the action that they're feeling from the board. So there's that, which seems to be perpetually going on in the background, to then that exact debate there, which is pretty much it in a nutshell, in terms of where I feel fans are at.
Yeah.
And that not only are we looking at Rangers winning the league, there's then the next best nightmare scenario, and that Hearts could win the league. So the only way to stop that is for us to win the league. Whatever that would take, I would like that to happen. And if that means all of us going back into the stadium to support the team, for me, on a purely sporting level, let's try and stop that complete nightmare scenario of needing to watch either one of those teams celebrate, because I don't think that's going to be a very nice place to be.
No.
So I'm looking at it in that sense. Now, I come at supporting Celtic from a slightly different angle for you guys, or certainly my modern Celtic supporting is a bit different because I've got the boys to consider with that. So again, you could make an argument that I should be radicalising them.
I think you're
that's possibly happening with one, maybe not two. But I try the best that I can to protect him for that and just keep it as a very simple day out for me and the boys to go to the football. Now, I'm happy to take the abuse in the comments from that. That's no problem at all. But at the same time, I am very, very much aware of the bigger picture, the wider issue, and being of a certain vintage. It's been second time around that you're trying to oust a board for the benefit of how the club is run.
No, your help.
And I know certainly not with Mike's. I was in the last time. One of Kelly's, one of the Whites. Right, so it again comes down to the sacrifice of will us not attending and us not winning the league lead to the change that we sorely need? Or is it probably going to happen anyway, regardless of what happens?
I think you've got their attention. I think Saturday even shows we've got their attention. I don't think Celtic aren't paying attention to what the fans are saying now, whereas maybe 6 months ago they weren't.
So off the back, having been there on Saturday, off the back of the boycott, to my surprise, there was no protest, massive protest outside the stadium.
That's the hand in hand, isn't it?
I thought
stay outside and go outside.
Thought possible that would happen. Now that's not me. Troops, that's not me suggesting. Should have been doing that Saturday night. You were probably in the house with a bolt on a few cans. That's entirely up to you. But I naturally thought that would have been the case when it wasn't. you know. So I just think
it was raining.
True. Everybody's probably in the boozer, to be fair.
Aye.
But the point for me is, I suppose I'll always come at it from the sporting angle, and I'm if there was a side of the fence to be on here, sorry. Paddy boy, I'd be on James's side of the fence to say, right, let's get into it and win the league and concentrate on that and then revisit it. But that's not without acknowledging that at some point we need to try and rip off this particular plaster and go on with it and take whatever comes to make sure that the change we sorely need happens.
Yeah.
Because listen, if you don't do that, my opinion is that you pull completely away from it being the sporting side of things. I think that we know that we're in this modern day area of football where we're run as a business. Well, we should be run as a business. We operate as a business. We have to in order to compete at all the levels that we're competing at. It's not to take away the fact that if this continues, there's no one in that stadium.
Aye,
there's no one in that stadium, and that's the worrying side, is that there's no accountability. And I know you're saying about the anger that people are feeling towards this. I don't even think for me it's anger; it's people taking accountability for the mistakes that they've made.
I'm angry.
But listen, fair. And what I'm going back to is when you look at the mess that Ange took on, the mess that we were in at that point. We're promised world-class basics. We're promised X, Y, and Z in terms of we're going to be a forward-thinking football club. None of that has came to fruition. We're now just ran through, 7 players that potentially need to move on in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That's alongside how many players that are on loan? 5 players that are on loan that we might lose at the end of the summer as well. So there's 12 players that you're needing to then think about for this summer coming. We are being mismanaged completely, and that's why I just don't think the momentum can drop at all at any point.
And all against a backdrop of having 70. That's the word going thing.
Yeah.
If you are tuning into the debate, jump on socials, hashtag vote James, vote Paddy, and we'll go for it.
Just head on up.
You end up
Just head up.
Listen, it's something that will clearly rumble on, and I think there's potentially 4 different opinions in this room and in the wider fan base, and you've seen a lot of the noise on socials.
What do you see as the way forward?
I think the amnesty type thing, which is a type of stick and plaster. We've done the stick and plaster to the squad. Right? We've found this short-term solution that might see that squad through to the to May time, to trophy time, right? And that is a big hope. And I hope that we can maybe find an off-field stick and plaster which allows even just a temporary truce, something of that nature.
Any face.
Might be an uneasy truce or whatever, but some sort of temporary truce where I was going to say both sides, as if it's a Green Brigade versus the board. There's fans, all sorts of fans and different things going on.
That's what they think it is.
I know. So if there's a truce that can allow everyone or all relevant parties to make some concessions or just step down a wee minute, even if temporarily till May time, and then, as I say, get back around the table as soon as the season finishes. To Miff's point, there is a lack of trust, which might make some go, I don't know if I can take this board at face value for that. But that would be my green tinted rosé specs type solution, if we can find a temporary fix and then look at the bigger picture once Martin O'Neill has sailed off into the sunset.
This has been probably the longest season in my life from what I can remember as being a Celtic fan. But one of the things I would say as well is that with the collective, they're not necessarily trying to target the league fixtures. It seems to be that the chat is obviously around the Scottish Cup game there. Mm-hmm. The chat's going to be about the Stuttgart game as well.
Yeah.
For a disruptive move towards. Listen,
just because the players feel it.
Listen,
and
you've got the right people in
the collective room, and they said they wouldn't do that in Dundee, and they did it.
I know, listen, I get that, but very, very, very early days of a forming stage, and I'm not saying that they're going to be the ones that
anything disrupts the players, not for it at all.
But listen, again, I'll go back to why are we in this position that we're at this point of having to do that, James.
They're coming, and we all are coming from the right direction. Yeah. But you need to choose your tactics very carefully.
I would agree with that, and I'm not disagreeing with that at all. I think that it needs to be done with the right message and the right way forward. I think that, like as I say, the momentum that they've built, they can't put a stop on that. And I know that it's not the best way forward. We've got some massive games coming up, and we want to try and see a bit of progression in Europe, absolutely. But I just feel that the momentum is there, and you can't let the foot off the gas on that. I know.
Hashtag Team Paddy. Hashtag Team James. But I believe there's a meeting of the collective steering group. It's either tonight or at some point this week to discuss what they feel are the right next steps. So we'll see. We'll hear news of that. Everyone will in due course, and we'll see where it goes from here. But as Paddy says, it is the longest season any of us have experienced in modern times, and it rumbles on. It's only February, lads. You spoke about upcoming fixtures, huge upcoming fixtures, and Sunday night Scottish Cup draw has paired us with Rangers at Ibrox for a place in this season's semi-finals. It means we'll face a particularly tricky 4-game run of away fixtures, which reads as follows. Thursday, 26th of February, Stuttgart in the MHP Arena in the second leg of the Europa League playoff tie. Sunday, 1st of March, Martin O'Neill's birthday. Happy birthday when it comes. Rangers at Ibrox, matchday 29 of this season's Scottish Premiership. Wednesday.
Can I put a shout to North Kildare CSC? I'll be in Maynooth on the 1st of March. I would like to watch it in your
You'll be in Maynooth.
Yeah.
Love
You're
that.
looking for a place. Shameless.
For a berth.
Shameless.
Wednesday, 4th of March, the rescheduled game at Pittodrie following last week's late call-off. And then TBC, either Saturday 7th, but more likely Sunday 8th of March, a return to Ibrox as we take on Rangers again in this season's Scottish Cup quarter-final, potentially getting the full Broomloan stand. We'll see how that plays out. James, what do you make of all of that? 4 massive away games. Kind of unprecedented to be facing those 4 tough away fixtures in quick succession.
I remember a few seasons in the past you've had these kind of runs and stuff.
4 on the bounce?
Maybe not all away right enough, but 4 really, really tough fixtures, maybe more. We were clattering through Europe in times. But this is why you want to be a football fan. That's exactly it.
Just take the sporting chat that Miff talked about. Yeah. This is what it's all about.
Yeah. Do I want to see us beat Stuttgart in Stuttgart? Yes, I do. Do I want to see us beat Rangers at Ibrox? Yes, I do. And Pittodrie and Ibrox? Yes, I do. Can we do it? Yes, we can. No jeopardy, John.
He's not having a game.
Just for context in that, Miff messaged the group to say that me, Tino and Jim would put 5-0 Celtic for every single one of the games.
That'll be fine.
But Miff did call Bologna and Hearts as both draws, and he was correct on both.
Thank you.
Even a broken clock, all that kind of stuff. But I was going to say about those 4 fixtures, right? There's no doubt to varying degrees, tough. Pittodrie away is potentially your easiest one, which says a lot about the toughness that we face. But if I think these games, and obviously there's 4 games before that, starting with Wednesday at home against Livy, but these games will tell us just how capable or not this kind of new look Celtic squad are.
Yeah, I mean, as a run of fixtures, it's as tough as they come, but also season defining. And what you could find is the results in these games would probably accelerate what comes next in terms of tactics from the collective or not, because after that it'll be pretty much clear as to what we're playing for.
That's fair.
So I think there's a direct tie-in with those games and what comes next for us as a fan group and what there is to play for. So listen, that is why we support our team, is for these games coming up. I couldn't think of anything sweeter than full Broomloan and Scottish Cup game at Ibrox.
May I apply for a job in the pie stand?
So
see the boy did that.
So although you'll have, if you were working in the pie stand, you would have a bit of company in there at Ibrox from
Ratatouille.
Aye, Roger's friends.
Roger's
Scotland about the place to be seen everywhere after dark. But
I was wondering where he was going.
Careful.
Easy. A wee bit nervous. We're Scotland, that's fun. No. But aye, listen, I know about it. Come on, I know about it.
A wine and can special. Is that what you think?
Man. Did we see where we're at the halfway mark? Wait to the end of the 4 games.
Let's just review it 2 games in.
This is Miff only signs one of them off a year for good reason.
Paddy, I'm going to ask you the question that Miff hates. Can Celtic win all 4 of these games?
Yeah, I would like to think that we can. I think that we've got enough about it. Stuttgart's going to be solid, guys. It's going to be really, really tough.
We should get that wrapped up in the first leg.
That's what
we did the last time we met them in Europe, so why not? Even though we made it really, really difficult over there in the second. No, I think give a good account of ourselves. That's how I'm approaching it. Martin O'Neill's not approaching it that way. Martin O'Neill sees an opportunity, I think, in this tournament.
I think he'll be buzzing for this.
Again, I'm talking about the big thing for me is that you want to see how these new guys settle in over the next couple of weeks. In a way, good that we've had the Dundee game, good that it's Livingston tomorrow night, no offence to them, but a good test for them just to bed in and get a feel for how the flow of the game is with this starting 11.
Mm-hmm.
You then look at the potential of being able to say to Engels, Tati, if he's going to be still included, Nigren, here's a breather for some of these games in between. But when you look at that run of 4 games, those big games, we're going to probably be looking at the same 11, maybe with the support of Oxlade Chamberlain coming in to back that up.
I think in 3 games' time, he's going to be a starter.
Aye, but in the league, absolutely. I
But you
think
need that experience.
the rotation's got to ramp right up now because
get him off in the hour, but I think he'll start.
this team, for me, I said it in the League Cup final, we look dead on our feet.
Yeah.
We have all season. We really have.
You've now effectively got 8 players since that time. 8 players. So there was the 5 loan signings. There's the Ox making it 6. There's Sarachi. Brilliant to see him back on Saturday night.
He looked good.
And Ian Atco is now back amongst it.
Big
That's
Kel.
8 guys that weren't available.
Yeah.
And it's not just what they can do as 8 separate players, it's the breather they can give. And squad management is going to be so important in the lead up to these 4 games in 10 days. It's relentless.
See, when Shankland and Devlin out for Hearts, it was like, oh, Hearts have got terrible injury worries. We've had no credit for getting as far as we've got this season.
With the amount of injuries.
All right, self-inflicted madness with Nancy.
December off, but apart from that,
Just a wee grenade.
12 points off.
so Santa taking December off.
Thanks for that, Martin. Now watch that.
But so many crucial players.
Yeah.
And you're not even mentioning CCV, Johnson,
Jota. Huge
Osmond.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he's a break, man.
So just in short,
I'm
Can't
Pete
be-
James now.
can we win those 4
Come on.
games? Do you think we win those 4 games?
I do think if we want to go through against Stuttgart, it's better to do your work at home and maybe sneak a draw there and win the other 3. Aye.
Been good. We've been good in away from home in Europe.
I got all
I know.
excited, Miff. I got all excited on the daily this morning. I was all just, this is what it's all about. You know, this is why we're fans. And I think there's a bit of, I've spoken recently about my good friend, the blind faith. But to an extent, you just need to go for it and hope that these guys hit the ground running. Sometimes new signings do, sometimes they don't. But you'll always have a wee bit of hope. And I think, listen, if nothing else, get excited about it. We'll see where it goes.
I don't think there's a Celtic game that's ever been played where 10 minutes before the kick-off you're going, you know, maybe we might just do this today. It doesn't really matter what the game is. You kind of talk yourself into that before the kick-off. So, listen, this considering that we did take December off for the reasons that we all know, it's remarkable. I know, Tino, you were looking at the league table beforehand, and you can look at it in all different ways, in the fact that Motherwell and Hibs are so close to us in some ways, but also the fact that Hearts and Rangers aren't further away from us, considering the runs that they've been on. But then also, if you look at that December period, and had Martin O'Neill stayed in situ, you'd probably be comfortable at the top of the league. So, with all those factors considered, we've got the reinforcements in, and we're still in there pitching. It's all you can ask for, and it's now just about what we do next. Yeah.
4 wins from 4, says Miff. Let's look briefly before we wrap up at this week in Celtic. So as mentioned a couple of times now, Wednesday night, Livingston 7:45 kick-off at Celtic Park. No boycott as far as we know. So you're good to, not that it matters to you, but you're good to go anyway.
I'll just sign the house.
Livy, as we know, terrible run. 1 win all season in the league. Marvin Bartley now in charge of them. David Martindale's director of football or something like that. No wins in the last 25 games in all competition, losing 18 of them and drawing 7. Just very quickly, James, what are you expecting to see on Wednesday, particularly in terms of the lineup and potential squad rotation?
Full strength lineup. Just your best 11.
You think so?
Aye, I do.
I think any 11 of Celtic can beat Livy.
It's not about that. It's about confidence. I think we need goals. You know, it's going to be a goal difference league as well. So you need to come out and go for it. What that first 11 looks like is getting clear in some parts, but not others. Tierney might be rested with a concussion, but Sarachi, love him, man.
Yeah, he's good.
So he's ready to go.
So somebody in our group chat earlier on said every team should have a mad South American, and I think he is ours.
What about Bernabe's goal?
Soft. And O's.
Great goal. Great goal. Bring them home.
Yeah.
And just sit somewhere the new like that. On your cell.
Well done, boy.
Get Haksabanovic into complete.
He's still a player, by the way. I think he might still
I
be a
think it's my
Celtic player. No, I think he might still be contracted. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's still contracted.
Oh, no. He
no,
went
Celtic.
permanent. No, he went permanent. He went
Like in
permanent.
Palmer.
Yeah, so you think we'll go pretty strong to start?
Yeah, and that'll probably be Svanchara, but you'll see a bit of Iheanacho at some point.
Interesting that he was not part of it at all.
I think Junior, I would agree with that, just to give him the minutes. You know, although it was crucial that he'd go on and perform. With Iheanacho, you know you're going to get quality. You know, so
I really like Junior. I love him.
Aye.
I think he's got a real spark about him.
Yeah.
Really like him on and off the park.
But I think maybe even Taneki starting and Yang on the right. Maeda rested again.
We've not even mentioned Taneki. Credit where it's due.
Yeah.
Indifferent start to life at Celtic, but he is the game changer at the weekend. His run is brilliant. Smashes into a really dangerous area for the equaliser. Does really well for his goal. He should take a boost. He should start against Livy, and hopefully he can pick up where he left off.
Conversely, I'm going to throw back to you there and say that he seems to be better coming off the bench. I think we keep him for an impact.
I know what you mean.
Maybe Wednesday night.
What he did,
Playing for the start.
what he did, and I'm going back to Auchinleck as well. I know I shouldn't really be thinking about impact coming off the bench against Auchinleck, but he was excellent. That run and him taking that extra touch to take the man on rather than smash, because previously he would have probably just smashed that. That's what creates the great angle for him to put it across to Junior. But I really like the spark that he's shown when he's coming off the bench. So I think that for now, that might just be his role in the team. But I think you can see that there's definitely a thing, as there tends to be with Anil and wingers, because he played that position, he tends to really put his arm round his wingers to get more out of them.
And that's the conundrum that the manager faces, because I suppose it'd be easy and just to, well, he scored and he set up one, so you just put him back in. Maybe you just, get him to bide his time. You go with Maeda, Chanchara and Yang again. Maeda's got a great record against Livy. He scored a hat-trick at one point against Livy, didn't he? He
Against them, aye.
seems to like that, and I wonder if that might be the three, with Tuneki then coming in and having his impact.
So for those in the game, Tino, we don't like to call them subs, it's game changers.
Game changers. I do see the assist from Tuneki though. He'd been having quite a hard time against Grant Halliday. I called him Grant Hanley in the post-match yesterday. Grant Halliday, who defended him pretty well. He had a very decent game. He'll be, reflecting now on just what might have been, but just the way that he showed him the ball and then dragged it past him it was really class. At a moment when everyone around them, probably herself, was losing their minds, and Tuneki was the coolest guy in the house.
You were there.
Full scene.
And he's then put it into a really dangerous area, and I'm delighted for Junior. Anyway, we've all seen it, we all know what happened, but there's calls to be made there. Paddy, we'll move on briefly as well to Kilmarnock, because we're hot on the heels. We go to Rugby Park on Sunday, 2:00 kick-off.
Yes, I'm good.
1 win in 19 for Kelly, but rejuvenated under the dream team of Neil McCann and Billy Dodds. If I can't see it, been a pretty game down there on that Rugby Park campus. What do you think?
Absolute staunch fest, man. You just need to go there and win. And I suppose the hallmark of Mark O'Neill's Mark III return has been the grinding out of 3 points in victories. So again, you'll take that.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be pretty. You'll take 1-0 right now. The bigger picture is that Hearts and Rangers have got a tough couple of games coming up. Hearts play Hibs on Tuesday night, and then Rangers at the weekend. Rangers play Motherwell, high-flying Motherwell, and then Hearts at the weekend. I'm kind of hoping they both lose at Ibrox next Sunday. Do you know what I mean? But
Rangers are at Fir Park on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Lovely part of the world.
That's a difficult game.
Something's got to give. But in terms of the Livy and Kilmarnock games, both games will be covered on our Patreon. Live shows pre and post match for them. Head to patreon.com/Celtic Exchange by Tuesday, tomorrow, to get signed up in time for all of those additional episodes. Busy show, lads. Busy life at Celtic right now. James, your closing comments.
This is the best time to be a football fan, innit? This is the running. It's just all starting to come together, and the work that needed to be done, to whatever degree, work has been done, and there's some real quality there in the Ox, so let's go for it.
Paddy?
Yeah, push on, go and see what we can do. I would just love to see, like you kind of mentioned, just about the Chamberlain coming in and just being that extra voice that McGregor needs. I'd just like to see a little bit more belief in what we can do. I think Saturday kind of showed that there's still a little bit of nerves about that team.
There's a fragility.
There is. I think go and blow Livingston away, go and see what you can do against Kelly, and just start to build a bit of momentum.
Magic. My final word to you.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's just about building that momentum, and also the new signings bedding in, seeing what Oxlade Chamberlain's got to offer. It creates that freshness for us as fans going to the games, and you're going to be seeing different players doing different things. So far, what we've seen from Araujo and Chvanchara, they've definitely brought or added some quality and a bit more robustness. I think with Chvanchara there, the tantalising thing with Junior being there as well is I would love to see Anil reverting to a 2. I think we could really cause bother with those two up front. I would love to see us do that. How ironic would it be if we switched to a 3 at the back with a more robust defensive setup?
Who's your 3?
With a more robust defensive setup. But no, for me, it's really just all about seeing what this group of players can do between now and the end of the season. And let's just go for it.
Yeah, and you'll be there at both Livy and Kelly, so 6 points, Smith.
Aye.
And that is us for this latest episode of Celtic Exchange Weekly. Thanks to James, Paddy and Miff for being here, but most of all, thanks to you for tuning in. We will be back throughout the week with our coverage on Patreon around the Livy and Kelly games, and you can catch all that and a whole lot more on patreon.com/Celtic Exchange. But until then, have a brilliant week. We'll see you back soon for the next one.